French Guiana is a French overseas department and region. It's also the only European territory on Latin American soil. Its surface area makes it France's largest region. French Guiana is also one of the least densely populated regions. With a mere 250,000 inhabitants and an average annual temperature of 25 degrees, it's a nice place to live. Sandwiched between the ocean on one side and the Amazon rainforest on the other, French Guiana is one of the world's richest areas of biodiversity. Guyana also has its own martial art, DJOKAN, which has its roots in the techniques of Amazonian warrior tribes. It is a martial art, but also a way of life, in which man learns to live in harmony with nature. Despite its beginnings dating back several millennia before our time, DJOKAN is a modern martial art which was only codified in 2010. It's based on mobility, fluidity, and the combatant's ability to adapt mind and body to his environment. DJOKAN teaches techniques which strengthen body and mind. Many of the moves replicate animal behavior, or simply have been readapted to the environment in order to exercise one's strength, agility, and mental fortitude. DJOKAN is a mixed discipline, incorporating a variety of hand-to-hand fighting techniques called jubate. In order to best deal with a dangerous situation and be able to defend oneself properly, it is vital to be familiar with the terrain one is on. For this reason, training for this martial art takes place in several different locations. For example, the ocean side is the best place to learn to cope with a wet surface, as one's movements are naturally slower. As well as the techniques designed to strengthen body and mind, and the hand-to-hand combat, DJOKAN training also includes the use of traditional weapons. This is based around 3 disciplines, each of which is focused on mobility and fluidity. Use of the lance also follows these principles. Control of one's own body is essential in martial arts, So the purpose of DJOKAN is to learn to know one's body in order to strengthen it while still remaining supple. It uses the body to teach one about life. Harmony between body and spirit can only be maintained through regular practice. Unlike many other martial arts, DJOKAN has a very strong spiritual dimension, as it forges a bond between man and nature. Various weapons are used in DJOKAN, like these debutu, small pieces of wood which are used in pairs and whose apprenticeship is done in rhythm to help improve fluidity and flexibility. Hand-to-hand combat is a mixture of holds and blows to all parts of the body. Amazonian tribes learned to live on the water, following the rhythm of the rivers. Their principal mode of transport was the dugout canoe, so knowing how to use a paddle was essential. The Amazon was a hostile environment, so being able to use a paddle for uses other than paddling was vital. DJOKAN therefore took its inspiration from Amazonian warrior techniques and taught the use of the paddle as a weapon. In addition to teaching the use of traditional weapons such as lances and daggers, DJOKAN also teaches one how to adapt everyday objects to use them as weapons. DJOKAN's ultimate aim being to create a bond between man and nature, training in a variety of settings is essential. After practicing in the sea, rocks are next to help with balance and stability. This is the best way to learn mastery of one's own body and how to be able to fight on unstable, rocky ground. Personal development is achieved not just by physical training, but also meditation. DJOKAN stands for awakening, so through meditation and relaxation, fighters open their minds to a way of life which allows them to leave the superficial world behind. Cayenne is French Guyana's capital city. It was founded at the end of the 19th century during the gold rush. The original town plans were designed with streets at right angles by the architect Sirde. Guyana was one of France's many colonies before becoming a department and an overseas territory. One of Cayenne's most celebrated colonial administrators was Félix Éboué, who was also a significant figure of the French resistance during World War II and a great champion of indigenous rights. In 1823, Reverend Father Nicolas and Baron Bernard Milius decided to replace the old church with a cathedral. Saint-Sauveur Cathedral is one of the oldest to have been built in Cayenne. Today, it's classified as a historical monument. Cayenne's market displays all of the town's multicultural riches and the melting pot of nationalities that have settled here over the years. The French were the first to come here, followed by the British, the Portuguese, and the Dutch. As the world becomes ever more globalized, people now come here from all over the world, from Europe, Africa, other parts of South America, and even Asia. After Algeria gained independence, the French National Center for Space Studies had to abandon its launching base at Hammaguir. Guyana was then recommended as the site of the new base because of its prime location. Therefore, the new Guyanese Space Center was built in the town of Kourou, not far from Cayenne, in 1968. With its latitude lying close to the equator, this launching site was ideal for sending satellites into orbit. Nowadays, it's a Franco-European launching site for Ariane rockets. The Russians also use the base to launch their Soyuz rockets and put their satellites into orbit. Over 215 Ariane rockets have been fired from Kourou. The base has created over 9,000 jobs, both directly and indirectly. The Guyanese Space Center is a high-security site, which is protected by the French Air Force and has its own aerial defense radar. DJOKAN has its own musical genre, composed of sacred music and chants. Creole and Amerindian percussion accompany traditional songs in honor of DJOKAN, recalling how and why it was created. It also pays tribute to the martial arts creator, to its warriors, and the men and women who practice DJOKAN and help it flourish. DJOKAN is a rhythmic martial art, something it has in common with many other Latin American martial arts. After having trained in water and on rocks, coping with a more level terrain seems much easier. This core strength exercise, consisting of moving along the ground using only the arms, helps to build muscle strength. Having pushed your physical resources to the limit, meditation and relaxation help you recuperate. Concentrating on the spirit and the world around us is just as important as developing an athletic body. A warrior's mentality is as crucial as physical fitness. Jokan allows you to create harmony between body and spirit. These periods of meditation give you the chance to replenish self-confidence and manage the emotions, joy, sadness, fear, and learn humility. Training ends with a salutation consisting of putting the hands together. Jokan Timun is a version of Jokan which has been adapted to make it more child-friendly. They can start to learn Jokan from the age of 3. This allows the youngsters to develop their athleticism from the tenderest age and to learn to move rhythmically. Now there's no violence, no aggressivity. And for the attack, you mark it. Jokan is a complete sport. You can learn a host of arm locks called kochi. The advantage of these arm locks is that they allow you to neutralize an opponent while reducing the risk of injury. The technique usually consists of using the pain inflicted by the arm locks to subjugate opponents and throw them to the floor or immobilize them. When you don't know how to move, you can't defend yourself. Look at your opponent. Don't take your eyes off your opponent. The small wooden sticks called debutu are useful in close combat. A simple piece of wood can become a useful weapon for defending oneself and counter-attacking. Amazonian percussion is ever present, assisting the Jokan warriors' rhythm, fluidity, and mobility. 98% of French Guiana is covered by jungle. A large part of the territory lies in the Amazon basin. The Amazon forest is the greatest forest in the world, stretching across 9 countries and 5 million square miles, nearly 10 times the size of France. With 400 billion trees and 16,000 different species, the Amazon is the world's greatest treasure trove of biodiversity. This is our planet's lungs and the world's biggest collection of animals and plants. It's also one of the world's oldest forests, and dotted around it are the vestiges of ancient civilizations. Many watercourses feed the world's biggest river, the Amazon, which is responsible for the majority of fresh water flowing into the world's oceans. To protect this unique ecosystem, many areas of the Amazon basin are classified as protected and included on UNESCO's World Heritage List. Despite this, since the 70s, around 18% of the original forest has vanished because of deforestation and other human activity. French Guiana's climate is tropical and pluvial, so it rains almost all year round. Only the months of September and October are relatively dry. Guyanese life has adapted to the climate and the environment. The different towns are linked by long roads which cut through the Amazonian jungle. Calm and peaceful, Oyapock is one of French Guiana's most remote towns and sits on the shores of the river with which it shares its name. Oyapock lives to the beat of its river, which also demarcates the border between Brazil and France. A simple canoe trip across the river takes you to Brazil. The frontier is nevertheless monitored by French customs. In order to facilitate links between France and Brazil, the two nations built a bridge joining the two border towns. It's known as the Friendship Bridge. Brazil has had a strong influence on French Guiana's history and culture. Ever mindful of personal development and harmony with nature, DJOKAN warriors learn to carry on in a wet environment. DJOKAN improves their perception of themselves and of the world around them. The Amazonian rainforest has an abundance of unimaginable riches, the main one of which is its 400 billion trees. This tree, for example, has the naturally sweet smell of incense. But it is vital to protect this ecosystem from mass human activity, which has little respect for the natural world. Perfectly in rhythm, the DJOKAN warriors now train with sagi, which are small sabers used singly or in pairs. In this V formation, they learn coordination and how to synchronize with their tutor. In close combat, the girls work on their speed of attack and counter-attack while using sagi sabers. The martial arts founder, GRENDENA, gives his pupils a demonstration in the art of using two sagi at the same time. The risk of being outnumbered in a fight is very real, so the tutor teaches his pupils how to cope with such a situation. Learning to defend oneself with the sabers and repel an opponent is part of the apprenticeship for pupils of Section 2. Despite the evident aggressiveness of these fights, they always end up with a bow to one's opponent while crossing their hands in a gesture of mutual respect. Training sessions take place whatever the weather. To work up their aggressivity, DJOKAN fighters also have a type of haka, a blend of dance and combat made up of movements taken from specifically Amazonian fighting methods. Even the elements are here, and that's Guyana. "14 kilometers off the coast of Kourou on the 3 Salvation Islands, Guyana's dark past hangs heavy. These 3 volcanic islets, Devil's Island, Royal Island and St. Joseph's Island, belong to Cayenne province. These desert islands were initially used by colonists, as the climate was milder than in Cayenne. Clearing the island's wilderness was the job of black slaves. From 1854 to 1947, the 3 islands were home to Cayenne's penal colony. The decree opening the colony was signed by Napoleon III to purge mainland France of criminals and political opponents. The plan was to get them as far away as possible and also populate Guyana. With the abolition of slavery in 1848 and in the face of growing opposition, the idea came to force convicts to work instead of slaves. Certain cells had no roof but were covered with a grate through which the guards could overlook the prisoner's every move and deed. Cayenne's penal colony became one of the harshest in the world. Over 70,000 convicts passed through its gates, including the alleged traitor Albert Dreyfus and the murderer Guillaume Cesnec. Living standards were appalling, which explains why life expectancy in the colony was 3 to 5 years. There were frequent epidemics. Some died from leprosy, others from sexually transmitted diseases, despite sexual relations being banned. Life expectancy being so low in the penal colony, few managed to complete their sentence. Those who made it were accorded a new status, that of compulsory resident of Guyana. If their sentence had been less than 8 years, they were constrained to stay in French Guiana for the period equivalent to that of their sentence. However, if the convict had been sentenced to more than 8 years, he was not allowed to return home, but instead was given a plot of land. The aim was to ensure the population of Guyana, but also, more importantly, to keep the ex-convicts away from France itself. Despite the guards, the hideous conditions, the geographical location and strong marine currents, some still managed to escape, like the notorious criminal Eddie Guérin, the lover of renowned thief Chicago May. Convicts were engaged in public works like road construction, the penitentiary buildings, and port installations. They were also made to build a church. Nowadays, the colony is in ruins, but a museum was created to preserve the island's history. The 3 Salvation Islands are tiny, covering barely 1 square kilometer in all. On Devil's Island, life was tougher still. It was home to the most hardened criminals, as well as spies and anarchists. Fleeing the island was virtually impossible because of the extremely strong marine currents. The penal colony was closed in 1947, and its penitentiary buildings left derelict. It was not until the 1980s that people returned to the island to safeguard its historical heritage. DJOKAN is more than just a martial art. It's also a way of life which can be learnt from a very tender age. It teaches sportsmanship, respect for rules, and Amazonian music. This enables children to learn about team spirit and cooperation.
Oh, no cheating now. Now it's with your elbows you use and you push with your toes.
Second line. Okay, and the last wave. Now ready. Okay, is everyone ready? Now you mustn't be touched, all right? Okay, let's go. From a very young age, children learn to improve their speed and balance through play. Okay. All right, everybody, back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, Jokan! I'm coming through. Oh, that's not bad. Oh, you're too near for me. No, they're too near. Ready? Okay, Kerouan's the winner. Jokan is also about self-control, which is why the youngsters learn gradually about the spiritual dimension of Jokan, respect for others, and control of one's emotions. Now let's make a sad face. And now a calm face. Calm face. Breathe through your mouth. There. Now your two knees up to your chest. And in Jokoti position. Facing me. Jokoti facing me. Gently up you come. Your chin on your chest. Slowly up. Reach up to the sun. Oh, you get bigger and bigger and bigger. Very good. Now line up for the salutation. When do we see each other? Thursday, yes. Very well done. The older children are next. Their training is more complete. It's now time for them to learn to be more fluid in their movements and get used to the percussive rhythms. Virgile, you won't get a second chance. I'm watching you. I want to see determination. can't hear you. That's better. Yes, that's it, the rhythm. Good. I can't hear you. First line. That's not bad. Good, go and have a drink. Don't run. Salute before you go. DJOKAN is a unique martial art, which, despite its recent creation, takes its inspiration from the spiritual aspects of Amazonian culture. This martial art was developed with the area's geographical and climatic characteristics in mind. The natural world is an important aspect of DJOKAN, so the fighter must adapt to his environment. DJOKAN is a fusion of French Guyana's different cultures and warrior customs. It's more than a martial art. It's a way of living with noble values. Nowadays, DJOKAN is recognized as part of French Guyana's heritage.